In this video, I want to show you why segregation is a much bigger idea than you think. You are more segregated than you realize. And once you see it, you won't be able to unsee it. Segregation is not just about where people live. It silently shapes your opportunities, your relationships, and even how you think and feel. It is the invisible force behind many of the problems we see today. If we want to solve these problems, we first need to diagnose them correctly. And that starts with seeing segregation for what it really is. We usually think of segregation as something that happens with race and neighborhoods. And yes, this is a big one. Look at this map of Atlanta. Each dot represents where a person lives, and the different colors represent different races. It is easy to see in this map, right? People tend to live near other people of the same race. And this happens not only in Atlanta. Look here at the map for Detroit, and here's the map for Chicago. This pattern shows up in most cities, actually. And this kind of segregation matters. People in different neighborhoods go to different schools with completely different resources. They're exposed to different levels of crime. They grow up with different friends and social networks. They have very different job opportunities. So it is no surprise that people of different races often end up with completely different life experiences. But these maps only show the segregation we can see. The truth is, most segregation is invisible. It is not just about where we live. It is also about how we live. It is in the choices we make every day. And it's not just about race either. It's also about age, money, education, taste, even personality and lifestyle. All these things separate us, shaping our world in ways we rarely notice until we are already living in very different realities. Segregation sounds like a big word, but at its core, it just means separation. And whether we realize it or not, we are separated from others in many more ways than we think. We often think of segregation in terms of neighborhoods, like the maps I just showed you. But think about it, we also live in invisible neighborhoods. Every choice we make places us in one group and keeps us out of another. The more choices we make, the more invisible walls we build between ourselves and others who choose something different. We choose the city we live, we choose who we married or if we married at all, we choose whether to have kids, which college we go to, which major we take in college, which career we pursue, and as we keep making different choices, our lives slowly drift apart. Think of a friend you used to be close to. At one point, they might have been the person you knew the best, but now you hardly reach out. Maybe you send a quick birthday wish once in a year, but the connection is not the same, right? A series of small, unnoticed choices led you both down separate paths, until one day the distance just felt normal. And it's not just the big choices that create this separation. Even the smallest, everyday decisions quietly shape who we meet, what we learn, what we think, and what opportunities come our way. Some people go to yoga, others go to martial arts. Some work out in a crowded gym, others go for a run alone. Without even realizing it, these choices decide who we cross paths with and who we never meet. What about news? Some people watch MSNBC, others Fox News, some don't follow the news at all. Even books, some people read all the time, others never pick one up. Some read fiction, others non-fiction. Some people go out a lot, others tend to stay home. People choose to pursue different hobbies. Some people say yes to new experiences, others don't. Some actively push themselves outside their comfort zones, while others don't. And it's not just our activities or interests. Even our everyday purchases quietly shape who we interact with. Think about something as simple as choosing where you shop. One person might shop at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's, another at Walmart or Dollar General. These stores aren't just selling products, they're subtly selling a sense of identity, community, and lifestyle. Even the clothes we buy silently divide us. Different brands signal different social groups, values, and tastes. When you choose a particular brand, you're not just buying clothes, you're signaling which invisible neighborhood you belong to, and without realizing it, distancing yourself from others. It might seem trivial, but these small choices add up, quietly influencing who feels familiar and who feels different. And if that was not enough, then there's the digital world, where algorithms do the whole sorting for us. Every time we click on a video, read an article, or listen to a song, the internet learns our preferences and reinforces them. It keeps showing us more of what we already like while showing something completely different to someone else. We might think that we are choosing what we watch or read, and in some ways we are. But the options that are presented to us are not quite the same as the options presented to other people. So in reality, algorithms are shaping our choices without us even noticing. Every click, every article, every song we listen to, it all teaches the internet what to show us next. And while that might seem convenient, it also means we are seeing a completely different reality than someone else. Actually, if you think about it, even a single one-off choice might nudge us from one path to another, one version of life to a completely different one. Maybe you went to a party and met your future spouse. Maybe you joined a conversation that led to a job opportunity. Maybe you picked up a book and it completely changed the way you saw the world. That actually happened to me a few times. In the moment, these choices felt small, but looking back, they shaped a lot of your life. And the thing is, these seemingly random choices are not random at all. They are segregated. Different people often make different choices in these moments. So all these choices we have made in our lives up until today contribute to this wall separating us from others. But you might say, we all know that this separation exists. But my claim here is different. It is that we have no idea just how much separation exists. We underestimate how many decisions we actually make. And because of that, we underestimate how much they separate us from others. Some studies suggest we make thousands or even tens of thousands of decisions every day. Of course, it is hard to pin down the exact number, but the point is we make way more choices than we realize. And every little choice nudges us in one direction or another, quietly shaping the world around us without us even noticing. And what makes this even worse is that we don't just underestimate the number of choices, we underestimate how much impact they have. Some of these choices reinforce each other, so these walls don't simply stack up, they multiply, making our separation grow at a much faster rate than people expect. It's like that old thought experiment. If we double a penny every day, it turns into over $10 million in just 30 days. Most people don't believe it at first because our brains have a very difficult time understanding exponential growth. You've probably had this happen before. You bring up a TV show you absolutely love, and someone stares at you blankly, like they have never even heard of it. Or you mention a musician you assumed was universally known, and they go, "Who?" And for a second, you are genuinely shocked. How could they not know? Isn't this just part of the culture? Or maybe you assume everyone knows the biggest game of the season just happened, but they don't even know what sport you're talking about. You thought it was a cultural moment. Turns out they never even noticed. But that is the thing. Your world, the one that feels so obvious and universal to you, isn't the same as theirs. And this invisible separation, combined with the fact that we don't realize how deep it runs, is a recipe for disaster. We assume we're all experiencing the same world, but we are not. And that misunderstanding generates some of the biggest problems we see in society today. This underestimated separation we all experience is at the root of at least three major issues we see in the world. First, segregation creates unequal opportunities because we're more likely to help people in our own network. And if I have more power than you, then people in my network will get more help than people in your network. Second, segregation is the key driver of polarization and of our current epistemic crisis that we're all facing. Because when we only hear from people in our own network, we stop understanding how anyone else could think differently. And when that happens, even our sense of what is true starts to fragment. Third, segregation prevents some ideas from ever being born. Because breakthroughs often come when people from different worlds talk to each other, from integration, not segregation. But segregation keeps those conversations from happening. So we don't just lose fairness or trust, we miss out on opportunities for human flourishing. I'll be making separate videos where I break down each of these ideas, because there's a lot of nuance in each of them. If you're interested, keep an eye out for them, or consider subscribing so you don't miss them. But before I end up this video, I wanted to mention that recently I have been thinking that segregation is even more consequential than that. It goes beyond inequality, our epistemic crisis, and the knowledge we're all missing. For instance, I now think it might be one of the root causes of the recent rise of loneliness in the world. Think about it. When we segregate, we keep zooming in and creating more walls between us and other people. But then doing something alone is the ultimate form of segregation, right? That's what happens when there are enough walls between us and anyone else. The more choices we have, the easier it is to be alone. 20 years ago, if two people wanted to watch a movie together, they had to compromise. There's one TV, so they had to watch together. They had to pick something they would both tolerate. Now, One person watches Netflix, the other watches YouTube. One eats dinner at the table with some music on, the other eats alone in their room scrolling through their phone. No need to compromise. No need to share an experience. Doing things alone just became easier, more appealing. So the shared moments that used to bring people together quietly disappear. And loneliness, like segregation, tends to reinforce itself. The lonelier we get, the harder it becomes to reconnect. The walls we build become too high to climb. I skipped dinner here, I missed the event there, and over time it becomes harder to get back in touch with our friends and connections fade. And I think the effect of this go far beyond just feeling alone. Loneliness is one of the biggest risk factors for mental health issues. It is strongly linked to higher rates of depression, anxiety, and even cognitive decline. When people lack meaningful social connections, their sense of purpose, self-worth, and emotional resilience all start to erode. It is probably no coincidence that rising loneliness has come together with an increasing mental health crisis worldwide. The decline of shared experiences and community bonds may be part of why so many people today feel disconnected, anxious, and overwhelmed, like they have lost their sense of direction. This is still an evolving thought, but if you are interested, I'm happy to share more, both of what I know and what I'm still trying to figure out. Let me know in the comments.